joins me now. Congratulations and thank you for joining us this morning. Yeah, tell us about the vision then. You've been, elected after this split in the group. You say the party or the group is now unified, but how have you sold yourself as a leader? What is the vision of how you move the party forward?
Well, the first thing I want to say is obviously thank you to Andrew R.T. Davies. He did a fantastic job for over a decade as leader of the opposition and leader of the Welsh Conservatives, and his contribution and public service to the country is something which is admirable. I want to build on his legacy, a legacy which led to the best ever set of Senedd results back in 2021 and take us forward into the 2026 elections.
But there were concerns within the group in terms of his direction of travel or his way of operating his social media posts, this kind of culture war way of operating on social media particularly, and I think privately perhaps the kind of, the lack of positive offering. It just felt, lots of people say that it felt like it was a party in opposition, only poking at the Welsh Government as opposed to giving an alternative offering. How are you going to change that?
Well, look, Andrew has his style, I have my own, and I want to plough my own furrow. I think in politics,
what is your style then?
Well, I think it's more important in politics to define yourself by what you are for rather than what you're against.
And what is it that you're for then, Darren? You set me up nicely.
Well, the Conservative Party is a party which is pro-freedom of choice, pro-personal responsibility, pro-home ownership, pro-farming, pro-Wales, pro-devolution, and these are the things which we need to set out our stall on in advance of those elections and take a positive message to the people of Wales, which hopefully will inspire them to vote for us, because one thing is very clear, that unfortunately under Labour after 25 years Wales is broken, and that's why we're going to develop a plan to fix it.
But if you're serious about becoming a party of government, the maths, let's be honest, and Wales's historical voting record means that you're either going to have to do a deal with Labour or Plaid Cymru, or in this quite unknown upcoming Senedd election with Reform. And you have to make that choice now, don't you, in terms of which way you tack, because if you move too far to the right, you'll be unpalatable to the left.
I don't want there to be any ambiguity about this. I'm aiming to be the next First Minister, and that means that we want to have, as a party, the most seats in the next Senedd. The polls have shown that that's entirely possible because parties are neck and neck at the moment.
Well, at the moment you're fourth in the most recent poll, obviously that's just more than
but we're all within the margin of error. We're all about the same share of the vote in terms of those top four positions. So that is an opportunity for the Welsh Conservatives, and what we've got to do is we've got to inspire people to vote for us, and that's why I say we need to set out a positive agenda.
What's the offering?
We want people to have hope. At the moment, people are very upset. We've got a disastrous situation in our National Health Service. Our education system is on its knees, not turning out the results.
You're doing exactly the same thing that Andrew R.T. Davies is saying. You're saying how terrible a job that Labour is doing and not offering an alternative.
Larry, I'm not going to publish a manifesto on this programme right now.
Oh,
I only assumed this post on Thursday of this week. But what you will see over the course of the next weeks and months is I'll have a new team in place, which will be announced towards the end of the week. We will then start to develop our plans to fix the problems that people are facing across Wales on an everyday basis, whether that is access to appointments with GPs or operations in hospitals, whether that is the poor standards in some of our schools, or the poor wages that some people are paid. These are the things that we want to get to grips with, and that's why I want to offer practical solutions. But we're going to define ourselves by what we're for, and not just talk about the things we're against.
You mentioned your team. Your new Chief of Staff, formerly a very familiar face on this programme, former Secretary of State David T.C. Davis. What are you saying with that message? What does that appointment mean?
Well, obviously, I've appointed a new Chief of Staff, so the message there is there's going to be some change. David's a sharp operator. He's been around a long time in politics. And I think he's got a huge contribution to make
as
we develop our plans going forward into the 2026 elections.
A change in what way, do you think?
Well, he's a different person
than
the previous Chief of Staff. But what I do know is that people have a lot of confidence in David. He's a well-known figure in the party. I've got a lot of confidence in him too, and I'm looking forward to working with him more closely.
Okay, well, you're perhaps a less familiar face to people who aren't obsessed with politics like us. You've been around a really long time. We know you well, but the audience may be less familiar. So, in terms of your you are involved with this Christian charity. You do 7 hours a week for the Pocket Testament League. You know, how central is your faith and your Christianity to you as a politician?
Well, I'm a person of faith. I'm not ashamed to say that. Just like many thousands of people here in Wales today, you know, I'll be going to church later on. But my faith is important to me, of course it is. One of the things which I will do over the course of the next few weeks is to reappraise my existing commitments, as you would expect. This all came as a bit of a whirlwind week, and I haven't had time to be able to sit down and reflect on those yet. But yeah, that's part of who I am. People need to understand and get over it.
So in terms of, so is what you're saying here that your commitments to that charity, you're gonna, you know, maybe step down and do less work because you've got these new commitments?
As I say, I'll reflect on all of the commitments I've got in the Senedd, outside of the Senedd, because you know, I've got other organisations I'm involved with as well. So I will reappraise those commitments, and you know, the people of Wales should be under no uncertain terms that I'm committed to them and I'm committed to my constituents.
And how do your, you know, evangelical Christian views kind of inform your politics and your policies, potentially?
They're part of who I am, as I said to you. You know, at the end of the day, there are many faith communities in Wales. I happen to belong to the Christian faith community.
And, you know, you have been in the past connected to a pastor through your work that has been accused of homophobia. Where do you stand on those issues?
Well, I've made it clear that I don't believe that anybody should be discriminated against on the basis of their sexual orientation.
What about abortion? How do you feel about abortion?
I've always been a pro-life person.
And, you know, in terms of gay rights, you know, where do you stand on that? And to what extent do your views, you know, will you impose those views on party policy?
I'm a person who believes, as I said earlier on, in freedom of choice and personal responsibility. I'm not a person who likes to impose my views on anybody else.
You know, I think because of what's happening in America at the moment, people will be interested in these issues and have concerns, maybe. You know,
Wales is not the United States of America. You know, they may claim to be the land of opportunity. I want Wales to be the land of opportunity after those next Senedd elections, and that's why I want to set out a fresh team and a fresh new vision, which is ambitious, which demonstrates that we've got a clear plan to fix Wales and fix those problems in our health service, fix those problems in our education system, and drive our economy so that everybody can have a more prosperous future.
Darren Millar, thank you so much for your time this morning. We'll be seeing a lot more of you over the coming months, I'm sure. Diolch yn fawr iawn.
Very welcome.